Yes.
already. Could you maybe explain a little bit about what the home rule is, and maybe explain why it may be good or may not be good for our town?
Home rule gives the village the chance to control its own fate. It doesn't have to worry about what the state's going to do. We can control our own fate. We can stay solvent. The good parts about home rule is impact fees. We can raise impact fees for the fire department, the library. The park got a bigger impact fee. The school board, we gave them a second impact fee for buildings if they ever have to build a school, because theirs was only cash in lieu of land. It also allowed us to change that one so they can use it all to build a building, because we're getting land from developers. Then the village got an impact fee for capital improvements, which would be police cars, snow plows, a new village hall someday if we need one. That's the good part about home rule. The other part about home rule is you can set your budget and you will get what you ask for. So you have to make sure you trust the trustees and the mayor who's in there to be fiscally responsible, not to overtax you on that. And so far, we've been pretty good with that.
Jim, when did we make an ordinance for that in town?
We voted on it. It was voted on in 1996. The town voted it in.
You wrote it out right now.
And some towns, every town gets it once they get to a certain size.
25,000, every town gets it, they automatically become it. It's a plus to the village with the right people in office.
With the minus one in that.
And what they did is when we got it voted in, when I actually got it voted in, I said, we will not raise your taxes with the home rule. We will use it for impact fees. And that's what we did until last year when they put the 1% sales tax on. Because actually, the 1% sales tax is a 25% increase for seniors, because they could pay $1 for a city sticker instead of the $10 or $15 or what it was. So that was a big bump on them. And I voted no for all that. So you know.
Mike or Donald, you want to add on any of that? Or?
Well, home rule is good for those reasons. It's bad if it falls in the wrong hands. That's one issue. But other than that, he cleared it up. Perfect.
Joanne?
He's got to say
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I thought you both agreeing with me.
No, I just pretty much agreeing. Anything is good in the right hands. Everything, you put in the right hands. But we don't have those right hands right now. That's where it is.
I actually two questions. One, during a phone conversation that I had with Mayor Borville while he was campaigning, he said that I'm not advocating for the town administrator or saying anything against her, but he said that one of her expertise is in the fact that she's an awesome grant writer, and we got a lot of money because she was in office, and we got these grants because of what she wrote. Do you have the expertise to go out and look for that kind of grant money and bring it into the town? And is there truth to that she brought in all this money to the town? Can you go out and get that money as well that she brought in?
Well, with her being dismissed, that would be one of the prerequisites for anybody that I would personally hire. They have to have the ability to get those grants. I was on the fire department up until my injury, and I know there is a lot of people that can write into the government to get grants. The fire department has done it. Marion's not the only one that can write in to get a grant. There are other people in this village that can. I'm not going to sit there and say everything we got was because of her. I don't believe that. Did she help out once or twice? It's possible. I don't know that answer. But she's not the only one that can do it. And to think she is mistaken.
I can answer that too. Yes, I can get grants. I took a grant writing class at Joliet Junior College. I went to Springfield with Trustee Beamsterboer, and we came back with a $1.6 million grant to do all the water mains on Lee, K, Thelma, and Jan, plus the streets. We've got block grants from the county to fix other water mains in town that qualified for it. When he said that he fixed all the water mains in town, he didn't do it. Mayor Jack Fitzgerald started it, Mayor Naughton kept it going. I did the biggest chunk of it, and he finished the small piece of it. So, yes, I do have the ability to get grants. I've got them in the past, and I can do it again.
And I think that I would go to Springfield as well with some of the experienced trustees to lobby and try to raise money for the town. Also, I don't think that you should base an administrator's salary just because they can get grants. I think you can privatize and just hire consultants privately just to do grant writing when the grants do come up, because the engineers will let you know, the people that are in the business are going to let you know when and what kind of grants are available. So that's how you would go after them. You don't have to just pay someone big money. It's like paying a plumber just to sit on your couch wait for a leak. I mean, you just
Hey, don't pick on plumbers.
Quiet back there, that's all.
I would definitely travel to Springfield multiple times and try to hustle for the town.
And my other question, as far as filling in the empty businesses in our community, I mean, that's an obvious, we have to do that. What's your vision about capitalizing on what's happening in Elwood with the growth of the intermodal and the railroad? And, you know, what's your vision as far as capitalizing on what that little town is doing? Excuse me?
Mike, why don't you take that one?
As far as, how do you, what do you want answer
Well,
for that?
I mean, you know-
I know that they're doing all that with the rail and everything.
Right,
Do you
and
think
do you
that we
think-
should do industry that would
Well, do you think
coincide?
the answer to Manhattan is just filling in the little businesses and
No.
beautifying the downtown area,
No,
or
that's-
are we gonna capitalize on?
Yeah, absolutely.
larger
I think just right now, we just have to freeze everything and service what we have. There's no way to look at other things, we'll be just mind boggled. We have to just focus on what we have now. If the subject were to come up to get light industry and stuff like that, definitely we would accept it as long as they were gonna be putting a business in right away, not just to build 25 empty light industry units, you know what I mean? I think we have to start at the basics, and that's what we have to do. That's my opinion.
The intermodal, we do have an industrial park set up out by Lincoln Energy. We did that when I was mayor. We brought in Lincoln Energy, and we cut a deal with them where we would rebate their property taxes, but they had to pay us a fee so much a year. That fee is actually more than their property taxes, so we made money off of that. We would look at something like that. We would try, off-road goes straight into Center Point. We would try to look at trying to capitalize on that. But the big thing that people are missing here is not the intermodal to capitalize on, it's the racetrack. We would try to bring more people into town with the racetrack. It's easier to get to us than Joliet. You know, we tried one time to bring in a hotel convention center. It'll be right out there by CD Liquors, but the mayor chased them away. He didn't want it. And we have some big guns from Springfield that were ready to put money up. I mean, we'll still look at that. Once we get something like that in here, we can get businesses that'll come along with it, and we'll be able to support them more. But we do have an industrial park set up that goes, if you took off-road, it goes straight into Center Point.
Some of those big businesses in Elwood are tax-free. They get tax-free for so many years. My taxes are not no cheaper since they've come in.
Correct.
We're in our house.
Yeah, we're in
That's why
Elwood.
he's saying.
Our taxes is higher since they've been in. Since
So all
the
we're
rate-
saying is they're not helping.
They're not helping. They'll stay there. They'll stay there as long as they get their tax-free.
And then to move again.
Then they move again into another warehouse and leave you just sitting out there with all those buildings like it's on Route 53. Okay? Do we get any business from that modem? Very little.
No, we don't get rid.
Very little. Do we get on down the road? Yes. But that modem doesn't service us, doesn't service Elwood.
They go to the
It's,
gas station in town, so they don't really do anything in Elwood. much.
That's why I'd concentrate on the
That's
racetracks
what I'm trying
and
to
sell
say.
that.
It really
correct,
don't
correct.
help.
The racetrack, people come through this town, that's what you gotta concentrate on. You gotta, you know.
Jamie. Do a Donald dance?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Donald.
We need small industry. The thing I worry about, you open the floodgate and all of a sudden you've got warehouses going up all over the place that are then going to sit empty, and instead of having the little small town, you've got the little small town surrounded by a whole bunch of, you know, warehouses and just not attractive things. You know, you look at me and you're like, oh, great, there's a warehouse, hey, there's another one, oh, there's a home in between them. I think you need to concentrate more on the mom and pop shops, the restaurants, the, you know, the convention center would be awesome. I would like to see stuff like that come in as opposed to an intermodal or warehouses or anything.
Okay,
Gus?
Jamie, because you're currently on the board, are our board members talking with the Elwood board members because of the situation that's going on with Center Point? When they built the intermodal, BN and Santa Fe and everything else, they gave them tax credits. Now they're going back and they've got a lawsuit currently in the works to get back that money because they didn't promise the businesses or the hotels that they had foresaw in that area. Therefore, all the property values in that town are going up. So do you communicate, or does our board communicate with their trustees to find out what's going on so that we are not down the road saddled with the same situation?
The mayor talks with some of them over there. We don't talk, the trustees themselves don't, but I've talked to some people. And what they wanted to do was start a Joliet Port Authority, which basically would have stripped Elwood of all their power, its fire district, police, everything. They would have lost everything except for they would have had to pay for the roads. So right now they say it's a dead issue, but if that Port Authority were to go into effect in Elwood, it'll cripple them. And you know, we would actually help fight that, because that's not good. If it's not good for them, it's not going to be good for us, being their neighbor. So no, as a matter of fact, we don't talk with them very much, but once in a while we do communicate with different trustees or people from Elwood and find out what's going on.
But you said the mayor.
The mayor is on that.
Then why isn't he not communicating to you? Because it's a known fact. See, I used to deal with Centerpoint. There's a lot of things that I probably get on the side, okay? And there's some things going on there. And if the mayor is in tune to what's going on, why isn't he bringing that to the board? So that when we go to the board meeting, we should be able to hear this, because we don't want to get saddled with the same thing, like the Port Authority you're talking about.
Well, he's actually on the committee for the Port Authority, who's thinking about it.
Yes.
And the only reason why we know that as trustees is because I asked the question at the meeting about the Port Authority. You were there, Kathy, when I asked it. And he all of a sudden got into in depth on what's going on, and he's on the board, and I'll assure you this isn't going to happen. You can't assure anything, because in Springfield they have things called shell bills. They could slide that right into a shell bill and pass it, and you'll never know what hit you. That's why you always got to watch what's going on down in Springfield. And Dave and I have the experience of watching shell bills, because when we got our 1.6 million for a grant for the water and sewer, we took a parallel path. We actually got a bill passed that was going to give us 3.4 million, but they never funded it. But we got 1.6 from the governor instead. But we, you know.
Well, that's probably why he's not here tonight, because he knew I was going to.
Either you or me.
He's at your house right now.
Sir.
Jan, I guess I'll pick on you first there. Not so much on you, but the village. At one point in time, I talked to the current mayor, back when things were good, about building a light industrial building outside of town. The restrictions were so tight, were so hard, that I would have had to rent out 1,000 to 1,200 square foot units at $2,500 a month, break even, when I could go up the street to Joliet and rent 1,500 to 1,700 for $750 per month. What would you do to change that?
Well, we got certain standards that we have to follow. We have to look at those standards so we can streamline them to bring business in. The problem is, we're at the point that New Lenox, Frankfort, Mokino were 20 years ago. And they didn't have all the restrictions then that they have now. We need to look and work with the business so they make a good, sturdy, nice-looking business that'll last. We don't need fancy, we just need sturdy and good-looking. And that will help keep the rents down. Because once you start adding on to the facade and the fanciness of it, you start adding on to the rent, and you're not going to bring anybody into it. So we need to work with people that want to bring business in closer, but we also have to make sure it's safe for the firemen, and that it's safe for the people going in there, and that it looks nice and will last.
Yeah, you all mentioned cutting the budget and cutting administrators. What about, is there any plans any of you have perhaps to cut firemen, policemen, anything like that?
I answered the last two, I'll let one of them start.
No, I don't have any plans or even any ideas to do that. I think everything is funded there well. I mean, first of all, I think the fire department's a different taxing body, so I don't think we have any control on anything that happens with the fire department. The police, I think that they were understaffed at one point. Isn't that right? They got rid of a couple police officers, but now they've been rehiring.
And underpaid.
Yeah.
They laid one off
and
brought them back.
Yeah, brought them back. So I don't see any reason to cut any funding there. I think there's other funding that we can cut. other budget costs besides the safety of the people.
I was going to say that the district is, the fire protection is a fire protection district. The mayor, the trustees have no control over anything with the fire department. We're thankful they're here, but we don't control their salaries, their hiring, that's completely on them. The police, I know there was a huge rumor going on that I wanted to fire the police chief. Completely not true whatsoever. Another rumor. I do think that police chief currently resides outside of the town and takes a municipal vehicle home and fills that up on our gas, on our tanks, on our taxpayers. I think that needs to be looked at. I'm not saying get rid of the chief of police, absolutely not. I know the man, he's a good man. But every little thing you can do here and there to help out, it needs to be done.
He's good at his job. You know, that's a good perk that goes along with the job. You know what I mean?
He also makes less money than the last chief.
And he's a race guy. I don't think he should mess with the police department. He's important.
Here's my answer. Here's my answer to the question. Like they said, the fire district is separate. Of course, I was a fireman for 20 years. I know it's separate. But as mayor, I would cut the top before you cut the bottom. You don't cut the bottom workers first, because those are the ones that do the work for you and keep the town clean and safe. You don't cut things at the risk of the residents' safety. I think we need to add another police officer, because we got one that's off on health reasons, which we can't discuss, and the other one is at the maximum retirement age of 65. But I still believe we need one more plus that, because we need to add another sergeant, because the administration cut both sergeants' jobs out, so we only had one chief and no administration in the police department. You need superiors in the police department to run it. You need a shift supervisor on every shift. So we need to look at promoting another sergeant and bring somebody in on patrol behind him. So are we short on police? Yes. And would we hire another one? Yes.
I have one other question. You mentioned the surplus. Can you help us understand, for those of us who don't know, the surplus and what is being done with the surplus of?
The surplus of money that we have is from the taxes that come in, that they came in higher than what we expected. What's that?
$209,000.
It was higher than what they expected. So instead of giving some of it back and cutting utility bills, they want to put it in the bank and save it as a reserve. Well, yeah, you need to save a certain amount as a reserve, but you don't need to save that much. You don't need to take it out of the taxpayers' pockets when they're suffering and just stick it in the bank. We only need to take it when we need it. And that's my whole goal, is take it when we need it. Don't take it from the people and put it in the bank when they need the money. We should give some of that back.
Mike or Don, do you know?
Well, I'm all for reserves. I think that they should put the money in reserves if they do have a surplus. The biggest problem I have is when people start spending money through a budget and have to hit that goal, so they just waste it on foolish things just so they get the budget passed easily next year. I think at that point, I mean, it's in reserve, so then you start facilitating, bringing together what's going to happen with the administration, cut your costs, and if it happens again, then you refund the money to the people, a refund check, take something off, make a different amenity for people that are already living here and things like that. But I'm all for reserves, but not too much.
I agree with them. I think we need to give the police officers a raise because, you know, economic downturn and whatever, it doesn't matter. Somehow. All right, we're going to ask two more questions here and then we got to go.
What about Don?
After Donald. Yeah, I'm going to take you out. Let's sign the board off. Go ahead, Donald.
Every person, every business, they have a rainy day fund that things go really south, we've got something to back us up. At no point in time should things go that far south that we need $200,000+ in the coffers. If it's gone that far south, we're all in a lot of trouble.
So it sounds like what you all are saying, it sounds like you have consensus. $6 million.
We have $6 million in the bank now. Why do we need that extra $200,000?
So it sounds like you all have consensus with the utility tax that you would eliminate the utility tax or decrease it a little?
Decrease the merger.
That's where I would start.
Right now.
A cell phone bill,
You
yeah,
started that.
6%.
My name is Bob Billing, I live on East Prairie, and this question goes, I have a comment and a question. I attend some of the board meetings, and this is an amazing result. This makes me feel good inside, seeing this many people here. And obviously, all of our points are the same thing, about taxes, how the administration's being run, and we all want the same thing. We need a change, and I thank you for that. My question is to all three of you. When we have these board meetings, or when you have the board meetings, and you get 2 minutes to talk, or 5 minutes, you wonder why people aren't there. Because they get stifled, or they're told to shut up, or you already used up 2 minutes. This type of thing. That's bullshit.
Yep, absolutely.
Say it, Will. That's bull crap. When you guys become, or whoever becomes mayor, 3 mayors, that's all we need now. Whoever becomes mayor, will you give the people an opportunity to talk? You will pull people back to the meetings. Let them express themselves.
What I would like to do is, after, if someone wants to talk at the meeting, I think that's great, but I would also say that after the meeting's over, if they have concerns and they showed up, I would like to talk to them on a one-on-one basis and figure out what their concerns are and not limit their time at all. I would also like to keep office hours at the Village Hall Saturdays and certain days during the week where people can come and approach me so they don't have to feel uncomfortable going up in front of everybody in a microphone and say, this is my concern, and then getting an argument and pushed away. I also come back to the Citizen Advisory Council where someone in each subdivision would be a part of that, where those concerned residents would be able to come up to those individuals easier than an elected official, so that way we can all be in touch with each other. I also thought that possibly a certain important meetings, like this is a candidate race, we're candidates for mayor, so why can't we have the budget meetings or anything that's important on a Saturday afternoon when people are off work? And maybe that option could come up, but there's ways to do it to, please the people that we're trying to serve.
I look at it as, and I've said it before, we are civil servants. Our jobs are to please all of you. And to have a citizen come up to the microphone and it's like, that is ridiculous, that is insulting, and it should not be tolerated in this town. And it has gone on for way too long. We need a mayor that is respectful to the people. He wants everybody, you respect me, I'm the mayor. Where's his respect for any of us? It's not there. He's proven it tonight by not showing up to face the community he wants to lead. That needs to change.
Thank you.
You're a humble man.
When I was mayor before, people didn't have a time limit on when they could speak. We worked out the issues. If it took a half an hour, it took a half an hour. We would work it out and let them talk. I did also have office hours, and I would call them back on the phone. Anytime I got a message, I contacted the person personally. I don't believe in sending it upstairs to the administrator and then it stops there. No, it gets to the top. I personally would talk to the person and let them know if the staff made a wrong decision. We straightened it out. We went to the staff and said, hey, this is what you need to do next time. But no, people need to be heard. People are supposed to be heard. And I like talking to the people and getting the feedback from them, and I would welcome them to speak at the meetings because they need to. And as far as the Citizens Advisory Committee being the one to go to first, the elected officials are the ones that need to hear it first, because if they don't hear it, they can't vote right. You need to get your elected officials, your trustees, your mayor, and tell them how you're feeling, tell them what you're thinking, so they can make an informed vote. So they can research it and come back to you and tell them what they're doing. Citizens Advisory Committees.
And then making this a part-time job, how is it possibly able? Yeah, you can hold some nighttime or some Saturday afternoon, you can return a phone call here and there, but you can't really be as effective as unless you're full-time. So if the mayor was full-time at a reasonable salary with a village administrator assistant to help at a reasonable salary, that would cut down the salaries and it would make the people that we want to be in charge of our issues available to us full-time. Is there a reason that that is, that we're only part-time here, or is that just the way all villages are, or?
Let's give it to Don since I skipped him. I'm so sorry about that.
I've said this before when talking to people personally, and this isn't just for myself, if Mike's elected, I'm all for it. I would rather see...
Way to go, Don.
Wow.
You're on camera for that.
I would rather see a mayor at a full-time position getting 30,000, 40,000, and have 110,000 go back to the people, and have the person the people want running this town, not the administrator who is making way, way more than he needs to.
How is the mayor going to survive on $40,000 a year paying staff?
There's a lot of people out there nowadays that have to survive on $40,000.
You're not gonna get the quality mayor you want. All right, let them answer, please.
And then your administrator, who is your assistant, who maybe has knowledge in areas that you don't have to try to help you, to contribute to, maybe that person's making the 40 or the 50. But you put the two together, and they equal less than what our administrator is making by herself today.
It's an elected position, and, you know, to be a village administrator, I believe you need a degree, so...
Yeah, you need a master's of public administration.
Exactly, so...
Best school in Illinois.
I understand what you're saying, I like what you're saying, but the thing is that we're supposed to be doing this we're supposed to be doing this to help the people, and that's why...
How much the mayor makes?
Mike, what's the current
There's
mayor?
plenty of us that
I think the mayor makes about 10,000.
10,000, and then he makes about 2,500 to be liquor commissioner.
Yeah, it's about 12.5 out the door. But you have a village staff, you have trustees, there's a lot of people that work together that are supposed to do that.
But to ever do that, would you have to, could you change what she's asking?
I wouldn't want to change that, no, and I think it has to be voted on, right? It has to be like a referendum or something, that has to be voted on to do that. But I don't personally agree with that, but I think it's a good idea, I just don't know how to do it.
Yeah. And Don, you had said you're not gonna take that 12.5 or the 2.5 at all?
At all.
Okay.
Until I can turn this town around, I will not take money from it.
The last question go to Dustin.
Wait.
Sorry, excuse me.
I'm making it easy.
I skipped down and go back and skip you.
The reason, the mayor's an elected position, they're not, like I said, qualified as an administrator. It is possible to run the village part-time like you do because they are in constant contact with you. You're not left out of the loop. You come in and have your office hours, have your staff meetings, you know what's going on. You're directing the staff as to what you want done or how they should do it. They're not telling you what to do. The present situation is she's running the town, and we were told that. I mean, as trustees, we were told she's running the town. But it can only be changed so many days before an election that you can vote on the salaries for the village. And it hasn't been changed in a long time. And when I was mayor for 12 years, I made $3,300. And we did very well. People were happy, and a lot of people moved into town because they were happy about what we were doing. So, you know, it's not, it's...
A good mayor doesn't need...
No. If you're effective, you can direct your people to do the right things, instead of having your people direct you on the other end.
Gus, final question.
Board members that are here, two things, it's yes or no. At one time, the municipal vehicles, police cars, village equipment was being serviced outside the village. Is that now being serviced inside the village by our local shops?
We do most of our police cars all go to State Street Auto and get oil
But at
change.
one time, did they go outside the village?
For a while, they were taking them out, yes.
I mean, everybody has to know that.
Right, they were taking it out for a while, and we fought to bring it back.
Will County's gonna take over the lumber yard, right?
No.
For the county?
Township.
For the township?
Manhattan
gonna get it? What jobs is it gonna have for us?
Civic Center.
Are we gonna be involved? Is their income gonna come in? What's gonna happen? Anything?
It'll be off the tax rolls because it's, well, the township is not a, they're a taxing body and they're tax exempt.
So which means that it's in the village, but we're not gonna get any
benefit, other than community
Right.
room.
So the only benefit we'll get would be a community civic center for seniors and for Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts to have a place to have their meetings.
And the food pantry is gonna go.
But don't we
Girl
have...
Scouts too.
Which we don't have.
Yeah, I got 4 daughters, I sure remember that.
Okay. And then I have a motion on the floor that we nominate Kevin to handle the meetings at the next board meeting for the town, for the Manhattan.
I think we should have shooter
Hey, Mary, for helping out, doing this thing, and the candidates for showing. Believe it or not.
Great, and everybody else.
Yeah, believe it or not, if anybody's going to the board meetings, by far, the way you organize it, put it together, you and your wife and everything, this is the way it should be, it should happen with the...
Town hall meeting.
Yeah, go to the town meeting.
That's the way they used to be.
And it used to be that way, but it isn't no more. It's kind of dictatorial.
I got one more question that I want to ask.
Go ahead, shoot away.
You know what, we were just talking about that being a township building and everything else.
Please.
For the last few years, it seems like there's been a lot of friction between our mayor, Marion, JB, meaning the county commissioner, and other bodies that are around us. We've got a couple of issues, we're talking about renting it, or getting that building for EMA, you know, to expand a little bit. But we're not doing that, we're not talking, because the mayor's mad at JB, or Marion's mad at this one. That went down to the roads, as you guys know. Are we gonna try to
Mend it.
mend it?
Yeah,
Yes.
I've already met with all of them and just introduced myself. I know Jamie knows them all real well, but I went and introduced myself to the commissioner and JB.
Because this will go a lot further
Yeah,
with our town.
and they're-
Everybody works.
They're willing to be open arms and work together. As far as I talked to them, I mean.
As far as I've talked to them also.
So
They
we
also
demand
have a
that.
shed there that we could rent, they want to rent a shed for us for EMA. Well, they want to rent it over here at the Quonset huts.
That's a whole different story.
We
I don't
could
know
rent
why.
the shed at the town, that the township has, and that would help them pay for the civic center, and all our tax money would be going towards the civic center for Manhattan instead of going into somebody else's pocket. So we should work together to do this as a community. And if we're gonna be paying rent, why not help the township out and giving it to, I mean, it's not even heated over there, it's just a dead space. We need a space heated for our EMA vehicles, and that's what my goal is. I talked to Jimmy Walsh, the supervisor, and I said, if I win, Jimmy, I'm coming to you, and we're gonna rent your building, and we're gonna help you with your civic center. So that's...
Thank you. That's what I wanted to know.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys, I appreciate it.
Can I got newspapers for anybody who wants the Manhattan American. They're free copies of this week, so some of the stories that you guys have been